you remember the movie Baby Mama?
Yeah, I love that movie.
One of the quotes was, the doctor told Tina Fey, "Well, I just don't like your uterus." Don't get me wrong, your eggs are in great shape, but you have a T-shaped uterus. Do you remember that part?
Yeah. I think just hearing them say, like, we knew this was going to happen for you. Like, they never lost faith. Like, even when we had, so
Yeah.
It was just really beautiful and just really special to have those moments.
You almost made me tear up, Chrissy, when you said they had faith and support when you didn't. So, okay, I'm trying not to cry right now, okay?
Wow, what a little baby.
Oh, God. I'll change topics
This
and
is
say...
going to be a new achievement. Trying to make John cry.
Alex said if you had twins, one would be named Velociraptor.
Because I'm
John Selmeyer.
Happy Mother's Day to Alondra, my beautiful wife, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And right now I am face to face with my sister, Chrissy.
Hello.
So happy Mother's Day to you, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Woo. And you have a beautiful baby boy named Baby Otto.
Thank you. He's perfect. Yep.
So.
And you have a beautiful girl. Obviously, they're the same age. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Eleanor and Otto.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop, whoop. I thought it would be inspiring and motivational to talk about how Otto is just like, he's kind of like a miracle baby.
Thank you. That's how I see him. That's what I call him. My husband, Alex, and I, we have been married almost 8 years. We have always wanted children. Whenever my bridal shower happened, my sister and mom asked us both, like, how many children would you want to have? And Alex wrote 6, and like everyone was like, whoa. And so we just always assumed like we were gonna have a lot of kids, and you know, like it would just kind of come easy whenever we wanted to start trying. Was for a lot of people it does, but unfortunately it took us a lot longer than we anticipated. Whenever you hit the 1-year mark of trying and you haven't been able to get pregnant, they recommend you go see a doctor. And so basically, we went to the doctor and she said, I'm going to go ahead and diagnose you with infertility. And I was like, what? I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, so basically, you're going to have to do certain measures or like go through certain things in order to be able to conceive. And so it was just kind of a wake up call to me that was even a possibility, because my whole life I just assumed you just have kids when you're able to or when you plan around it or whatever. So it was just like a big shock. And my husband and I, we went through a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of tests, a lot of tough conversations. And so ultimately it took us 3 years to be able to get pregnant with Otto. But after, like I said, a lot of assistance from the medical field, we were able to get pregnant. And so Otto's just kind of been, I was shocked. Honestly, when I got that pregnancy positive, I was like, there's no way. Because they had kind of told us like, okay, like the next 3 months, like this is your last chance. Mm-hmm. Like if it doesn't happen, you're going to have to seek other measures. And so I was like, oh, then we're done. You know, like I just kind of like given up the towel, and I was like, this isn't going to work out. So when I took the test, and then I went and like called a client. I'm a social worker. I like called a client and had like a 20-minute phone call. And this client was like upset about something. She screamed at me for like 10 minutes. And then I went back to the pregnancy test and it was positive. And I was like, what the heck? What? So, and I like didn't want to tell Alex. I was just so nervous, you know, and just like kind of freaking out. And like, I think I was just scared to tell people because infertility had kind of become, I think, like a part of my identity. Okay. And so I was like, I had kind of felt like a sense of guilt to other women that were still experiencing infertility. And so I just didn't believe it. I was just in shock. I was like, this isn't probably going to happen. This isn't happening. And so like the more milestones we reached, I was like, oh, this is actually happening. Yeah. This is going to happen. I think it, honestly though, 100%, I don't think I realized I was going to have a baby until we were at the hospital. and I was induced, and it was like 48 hours of trying to have a baby and just like craziness. And then when they like put him on my chest for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a baby. This happened, you know, like it was just such a joy and honestly a miracle, because I think we had kind of given up hope and just kind of like throw it in the towel, like I said. And then all of a sudden it's like, it just happened, you know?
Yeah. So take me back real quick. When you had spoke with that first doctor, did you immediately think, I need to get a second opinion? Like, this can't be right. Or did you just accept it immediately?
I think I accepted it immediately because for anyone that's experienced infertility out there, I think you can relate when I say people were constantly asking me, why haven't you had kids yet? When are you going to have kids? And I was like, well, we're trying. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not working. And so I think there's like a lot of that and just like strange looks or just kind of a weird sense of like hopefulness from other people. And you kind of feel like you're letting them down, like when it's not happening. And so it was kind of like an explanation for why things hadn't happened.
And when it's none of their beeswax, too.
And when, yeah, that's another thing. People are so nosy.
Which, I'll be honest, I was guilty. I'd be like, oh, are you and Alex? Do you plan on having a child? I even asked it a handful of times. I have to admit.
And it doesn't help that I was kind of embarrassed about telling people that it wasn't working. And so I would just be like, oh, we're gonna have a kid 5 years from now. Because I wanted people to get off my back. But really, it just made people more like, you need to do this now. Like, you're in your late 20s. Like, get on it. So I think it kind of had the opposite effect of what I was going for.
Gotcha. Yeah. When you had Otto, you were in your 30s, right? Mm-hmm. Did you have a lot of people also saying, like, you kind of alluded to it just now. They're like, oh, you're getting in your late 20s, early 30s. You better... I feel like there's almost a stigma.
Yes. Yeah, when I was 22 years old at my first like professional job, I remember this woman, like I was eating lunch with her and she's like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have a kid? You're already 22. And I was like, well, you know, me and my boyfriend are just saving up. And she was like, if you don't have kids soon, you're going to have a hard time and you might not be able to have kids. And I was like, what the heck? I don't know if that lady cursed me or what. Rest in peace, she passed away. But anyways, it was just like, I feel like that was the first time I was like, whoa. And then, yeah, people just, I think they do put a lot of pressure on you, especially when you're around in your late 20s. The clock's ticking. Get going.
Which is ironic because I learned in my sociology class, people are getting married later and having babies later in life also.
But I think, like, the most judgment kind of comes from like the older generation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because they got married at a young age and like had
20.
kids at a young age. And so it's just different. Like times are just different now. But I think this woman was like, you better hurry up or it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So I think there's kind of a generational gap there.
Yeah, for sure.
But I will say, can I just say this?
Yeah.
You know, I was like joking around today because Otto has old parents. I'm not going to lie. Every time he gets up from a chair now, he grunts like an old person. Because Alex and I are in our 30s. And every time we get up from a seated position, you gotta like make a grunt. And honestly, I was telling my other coworker this. He's about my age. And I was like, I hated when people told me like, you need to start having kids. And what are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of being a hypocrite. But I was like, you cannot sleep as well in your 30s as you do your 20s. Or like lack of sleep, I feel like just impacts you so much more.
Yeah.
And I was like, do yourself a favor. Try to start figuring out how you're going to have a kid because getting up in the middle of the night when you're in your 30s is so hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard.
Yeah. Impossible.
Not impossible. Do it.
No, don't move.
It's just super hard.
Just kidding. And then during the pregnancy process, I guess this one's two questions. What were some of the most meaningful moments for you after you found out you were pregnant? Mm-hmm. Did you download one of those apps that was like, your baby's the size of a rubber ducky, like that?
Yes.
And then also, who was most supportive for you during that time?
I think for the first question, like some of the moments that like were the most like memorable or meaningful, I think it's just like sharing it with my husband Alex, because again we were just shocked. Like we were like, this, we just didn't think it was gonna happen for us. Mm-hmm. So to be able to like just share that with each other and just be so thankful to God that like he had blessed us with a child. Like it just meant so much. And just because he knew the struggle, like we were in it together. You know what I mean? Like I think some women feel really isolated when they're experiencing infertility. And I had friends that have also gone through it, and they kind of helped support me if I was having a bad day, if there was a baby announcement, if I had to go to a baby shower. Like, my friends were really there for me. And my husband, Alex, was there 100%. Like, he knew every single tear that was shed over this. So he just sharing that with him and, like, being able to just be excited together was really special. And then I think, like, sharing it with our parents and just, like, I have a Cricut machine. And so I made these little signs. This said, for this child we have prayed, and then in parentheses it said, and prayed and prayed and prayed. And so we like gave it to each of our parents, and just like seeing the reaction and just like the tears and just excitement. And I think just hearing them say like, we knew this was going to happen for you. Like they never lost faith, like even when we had. So
Yeah.
it was just really beautiful and just really special to have those moments. And then of course, like I said, the birth was just one of the best. It was, other than my wedding, best day of my life. Just so, I don't know, just so heavenly, just beautiful. He's a perfect baby.
Yeah, he is for sure. You almost made me tear up, Chrissy, when you said they had faith and support when you didn't. Okay? I'm trying not to cry right now, okay?
Wow, what a little baby.
Oh, God.
This is her first time crying on your own podcast.
Second time, but...
Don't cut this out.
I'll change topics
This
and
is
say...
going to be a new achievement. Try to make John cry.
Alex said if you had twins, one would be named Velociraptor.
No. No.
I mean, he did.
What's the question? I just wanted to put that there.
So, looking back, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from this whole experience?
I think that if you feel like you need to talk to a doctor, or like you're not sure why things are working out, schedule the appointment. Get in early. Because I think there's also a sense of, oh, like, it's just because I'm not dieting enough. It's because I'm not exercising enough. I drink too much caffeine. I took ibuprofen this month. Like, we, as women, like, we just blame ourselves so much for, like, why it's not happening.
Yeah.
And I think going to a doctor and them doing tests and, like, having tangible reasons as to why I couldn't conceive, instead of, did you do this weird exercise that's on Pinterest? I think there's just like a social media factor and like social factor of it's probably your fault why it's not happening, when in reality it's just like some people's bodies are different. It's not your fault. So I think going to the doctor and getting medical help and like trying to clear out the noise of everyone else's opinions, everyone else's 2 cents. Like I had people say some really horrible things to me when I was going through it. One of the things I'll just say briefly was someone told me like, if you get divorced, there's actually a higher chance that you'd be able to conceive with a new partner.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I was like, that is probably the worst thing you could say to someone. Like, why would you say that? I'm in like a committed marriage. I love my husband. Not going anywhere. You know what I mean? We're in it for life. So I think trying to drown out the noise, but I wish I had set better boundaries with people too if they did make me uncomfortable or did say something hurtful, and just called it out. So for anyone listening to this, you're allowed to tell people, hey, that's not okay. Hey, that makes me uncomfortable. Because I didn't do that. I was just like, okay, thanks for the advice.
You and I both are very passive people.
Right, you know? So I think those are like the 2 things that I would just like really encourage people to do.
So yeah, if y'all are mean to my sister, I'm gonna beat you up.
Yeah. Be kind to your friends that are experiencing things. Even if you don't understand what they're going through, even if you can't relate to it, like, you don't have to say anything. You can just be there for people and be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. That must be really hard. I'm sorry you're going through that. You don't have to say, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried this?
Especially Pinterest, Instagram probably has very toxic advice.
Not medically proven.
For dudes listening out there, guys, we ignore pretty much all of our health. But also...
That is so true.
That's facts. Go make sure you're doing your physicals, checking up with your doctor too. I think that's important advice that you had given earlier.
Yeah.
Is people need to check in with their medical professionals.
Like both people in the couple.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to give you one last joke. If you want me to cut this, I will. Do you remember the movie Baby Mama?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Okay, good. One of the quotes was, the doctor told Tina Fey, well, I just don't like your uterus. Don't get me wrong, your eggs are in great shape, but you have a T-shaped uterus. Do you remember that part? Yeah. I just thought it'd be a funny thing to mention for this episode.
There's so many things that women don't know about their bodies, and medical people should help. But I guess like the one thing I want to say, just to wrap it all up, is I'm so thankful for my son. I would not trade him for the world. I'm just so grateful that everything worked out for us. But every night, honestly, me and my husband, we do pray for everyone experiencing infertility because it's a dark place to be in and it's really hard. My heart just goes out to you. So I just want to say that. And happy Mother's Day to everybody. And I'm thankful for our family. I'm thankful for our mom.
Yeah.
Because she is the most loving, the most caring, the most giving person. And just like the best model for us, you know? And I feel like that spilled over into us and our lives.
Yeah.
And like how we treat our kids and families. We love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. And also, I love my...
And Grandma.
And Grandma. And I love my nephew, Otto, little miracle baby. And I love my mother-in-law, Jackie. We just love everyone.
We love everyone. And Alondra. We love Alondra.
Of course.
Incredible mom.
Yes. Well, thank you all for tuning in.